Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lucia and this is Lulu's Leaves. In today's video, I am going to be talking to you guys about some plants that are low light tolerant and also low fuss. I know that we're all really busy right now, whether you're working from home or if you're going into work. Obviously, we're all a little bit crunched for time just with the current situation in the world. So it's definitely sometimes nice to have some plants that you just don't have to worry about. And I wanted to show you a few of my favorites today in this video. I have a good mixture of uncommon plants and common plants, so don't worry, whatever you're interested in, there's going to be something for you here. Before we get straight on into that though, if you guys haven't already entered the giveaway to win a $20 Amazon gift card, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel for your chance to win. But that is going to be all. I really hope you guys do enjoy today's video. Let's get straight on into it. So the first plant that I want to talk about is this Philodendron Dark Lord. This is a plant that I only recently purchased, and I've had it for about 3 weeks now. This plant is currently in my plant room and it is sitting on my dresser. So this one is actually getting very low light compared to the rest of my plants because it sits in a room about 10 feet away from a northeast facing window. I'm also not supplementing this plant at all with any grow lights, so it is really a trooper. And I wanted to show you guys the new growth on this guy because typically if a plant is unhappy in its current surroundings, it's not going to grow very quickly. It's also not going to put out the largest leaves it possibly can. So I really wanted to show you guys that this one is doing well. And this is the prime example of this plant doing well. If you can't see the proper scale of this plant, this leaf here is a lot bigger than the last leaf, which is this one right here. And that leaf was completely grown in my care. There wasn't much of a growth tip at all when I first got it. So yeah, it's definitely one that can tolerate lower light situations. I'm not sure if it has anything to do with the darker foliage. Sometimes I do find that these darker goth-like plants are okay in the darkness, which is kind of ironic, or maybe it's not ironic, you know what I mean? I don't know, maybe they are just bred to grow in lower light situations. So this is definitely a great option if you love philodendrons. It's really super easy. You let them dry out completely before watering them and they're super duper happy. So definitely check out the Philodendron Dark Lord if you are searching for a cool, uncommon philodendron that will be very low fuss and survive in low light. Another plant that does really well in low light situations is the Hoya Mathilde. This is a plant that I have a few of, and this specific one lives in low light. I also have one of these guys growing in higher light just because I wanted to experiment with that and see how quickly I could get that plant to grow. But I have noticed that this plant is growing almost faster than the one that's sitting in my south-facing window. And this is another one that's sitting about 10 feet away from a northeast-facing window. So you can see all of that new growth on the vines there. That is so exciting. This is absolutely one of my favorite Hoyas and one of my favorite plants. So I definitely wanted to touch on the fact that it is a great candidate for a low light spot, and you're also never going to have to worry about this one. I water this plant about once a month and it seems to be pretty happy. I just wait until the leaves start to get a little bit soft and the soil is really crunchy, and that seems to work really well for me. I don't know if that's gonna work for everybody, but I typically can go about a month when I keep it in lower light situations. So this is a really great option for anyone who doesn't have a lot of light but wants to dabble in some more uncommon Hoyas. It is a really beautiful, beautiful plant. Next up, I want to talk about another philodendron that I'm super into these days. This is one that I've had for a long time, and it's kind of gone through the ringer. It had pests. I'm pretty sure it had thrips about a year ago at this point, but look at it now. This here is my Philodendron Pastaanum. This is a fantastic plant for people who don't have a lot of time to take care of your plant. You need the signs, you need the plant to tell you what it needs, one that can also survive in lower light. The Philodendron Pastaanum has been such an easy plant for me, aside from when it got pests, of course, but even then, it honestly just took a few treatments to get rid of them, and that was it. And I haven't seen them in about a year, so I think they're gone. But this plant continues to grow really, really quickly for me and puts out these gorgeous, gorgeous leaves. This guy here is the newest leaf, and look how shiny and perfect and beautiful this guy is. Of course, there's always going to be a little bit of damage when it comes to these plants, especially if they're not in super high humidity, which this one is definitely not. I will mention that if you do keep this guy in low light and it's not directly in a windowsill, you are going to get some of this legginess. This happens really, really often when the plant is leaning towards the light. It is still growing, and it is still growing quickly, but you are going to get some of that legginess or long stems or petioles that are reaching towards the sun. So keep that in mind. That is one thing that you will have to deal with these crawlers if you don't have it in bright light. And honestly, it happens with a lot of plants if you don't have them right in a windowsill. That's just kind of how plants grow. They grow towards the sun. So that's just gonna happen, but it's still really, really beautiful. And as long as you shift the plant and turn it around every once in a while, it should be just fine. But yeah, that is the Philodendron Pastaanum, another really, really great option for you guys who just don't have a lot of time to take care of your plants. Again, this one is just fine drying out between waterings, but I do want to mention it also will tell you when it needs to be watered. These guys get really nice and droopy when they are thirsty, so that is a good indicator. You won't walk by it and forget about it because it will tell you, hey, I need some water. Next up is another one of my favorites for low light, and this one honestly could survive in absolutely no light if you really, really wanted it to. This guy here is the ZZ plant. This is a really common plant that you could probably find in any greenhouse you go into, and they just grow so nicely. They are a slower grower, but they put out some beautiful, beautiful foliage. It really is kind of an abstract plant. So if you're looking for something a little bit more funky, this is a great, great option. If you do put this one in high light, it can grow a lot faster, but it's also one that is great in low light spots. So it's a good one to fill up those spots that probably shouldn't have a plant, if you know what I'm saying. I really, really do love this plant though. And I think it's a really, really cool budget option too, because these guys aren't very expensive. I bought this one around this size for about $20. So that's a steal in my opinion for something this size. And it's probably one that's been growing for a few years. So you get a nice mature plant for not so much money. You don't have to water it more than once a month. I usually water this one every 2 months and it seems to be just fine. But yeah, it's a really great option if you like these more funky, common plants and don't want to spend a ton on creating a big jungly feel in your home. Well guys, the last plant on this list is one that I used to show a lot because it is one of my favorite plants, but you guys haven't seen it in a little bit, so I did want to show you guys today. This is my Philodendron Squamyfarum. This is a really, really unique houseplant that doesn't get talked a lot about anymore, and I really do think it deserves a little bit more hype. It is becoming more and more common, kind of around all over the place, especially in Ontario. You can find a nice one for about $95 usually at this point, but I am just obsessed with these gorgeous petioles. They are red and hairy and just so, so cool. but this is one plant that I have been able to keep in really low light, and it has been just fine. This one sat on top of my cabinet in a dark corner for a few months, and it still is about to put out a new leaf here. So it's definitely one that can tolerate lower light. It is a plant that even if you put in bright light, it's still gonna start putting out these more immature leaves if you don't give it a moss pole. But other than that, it's very low fuss. For this one, you also wanna wait until the soil is completely dry before watering it again. But it's a super duper easy one if you just don't have a lot of time. And it's also very unique. It is obviously a little bit more uncommon, but again, becoming easier to find. This was among the first of my rare plants, and because of that, it definitely holds a special place in my heart. But yeah, definitely check it out if you're looking for something that's just gonna be easy and grow really nice and bushy for you like this. I hope I do get some larger leaves that are more mature like this one soon, but even still, I'm keeping it in low light. It's living, it's still pushing out new growth, so you can't ask for too much. All right guys, well that is going to be it for today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and leave a comment to enter the $20 Amazon gift card giveaway. But that's gonna be all from me guys. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.